Hi guys, welcome to ANIMEized. This is the English translated version of the novel Throne of Seal. The novel differs slightly from the Chinese animation or donghua. If you want more of these videos, please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Enjoy and have a blessed day.
Powerful as an 8th rank demon lord, at this moment, his mind seemed to go blank, as he had no idea what to do, let alone how to deal with the sword before him. However, all living beings have a survival instinct. After realizing his insignificance compared to the enemy, this 8th rank demon lord decisively bit his tongue abruptly, and instantly gaining a layer of crimson radiance all over his body. This was the demon clan's unique technique, the demonic dissociation art. Long HaoChen had witnessed this technique before on the snake demon god ANIMEized. However, the demonic dissociation art used by the demon lord was different from that of the snake demon god ANIMEized. ANIMEized used the demon god level technique, which had greater enhancement on oneself, and relatively smaller side effects. However, after the demon lord used the demonic dissociation art, even if he didn't die, his cultivation would forcibly drop from the 8th rank to the 6th rank. Of course, compared to life, a decrease in cultivation wasn't much. The powerful surge of light elemental energy also drew strong attention from the demonic army on the other side. At this moment, the Demon King had already issued orders, putting the army on the highest level of alert, as he had no idea how many enemies surrounded them. From the previous 8th rank group magic, it was evident that the human force intercepting them here was quite powerful. As the commander of such an elite army, he wouldn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. At this moment, layers of dark purple light were continuously emanating from the 500 hell demons, rapidly chanting spells, each hell demon holding in their hands a blood-red crystal ball, which was their magical instrument. The dark purple light transformed into a massive light shield, enveloping the entire demonic army within. They had already assumed a defensive posture. The defense conducted by the 500 hell demons working together, even against a 9th rank powerhouse, would be impossible to break without sufficiently powerful weapons. At this moment, the Demon King sensed the intense surge of light elemental energy from the other side of the mountain. At times like this, he wouldn't concern himself with the lives of his subordinates, because for him, the more important thing was to protect the entire army. A blood-red light illuminated from his chest, followed by a crimson mist spreading from his body, covering the entire army. This was the elemental control ability approaching the level of a 9th rank powerhouse, even separated by a mountain peak. One could feel the incredibly sharp sword intention, and the Demon King felt a chill creeping over him. No wonder he attached such importance to it. After all, sword intention didn't have a direct level, but the intensity of the sword intention emitted by Long HaoChen through him of the goddess of light was already close to that of the former light sword god, Wuxian. How could the Demon King not feel the danger of this level of sword intention? He never expected that after leading his army into the demon suppression mountain range, they would encounter trouble so quickly. At this moment, even without the obstruction of these formidable human enemies, and without the cover of their familiars, they would soon be exposed. At this point, the seed of retreat had already sprouted in the Demon King's mind. It wasn't that he lacked courage, but the Demon Clan couldn't afford to lose so many elites. Among this demonic army, there were 300 powerhouses of 8th rank or higher. It can be said, among the Demon Clan, except for the top 5 ranked races, no other race could compare to the army before their eyes. If they suffered significant losses, what awaited them upon their return would undoubtedly be the wrath of the death demon god, Samijina. They might even face direct punishment from the demon god emperor. The sparkling white light, like threads or silk, slashed through the air like a sudden crystal blade, cutting through the long sky, leaving a dazzling trail in the air. The radiance flashed only briefly, then completely disappeared. Long HaoChen, suspended in midair, swayed slightly, and him of the goddess of light in his hand naturally retracted into his body. At this moment, his complexion appeared somewhat pale, clearly a sign of excessive spiritual power consumption. In fact, at this moment, his spiritual power could only barely support him in floating in the air. However, his opponent was about to face a greater tragedy. Although the demon lord's body still hovered in midair, he could clearly see his eyes gradually becoming lifeless, a streak of blood spreading from the top of his head down to below. Long HaoChen's previous sword completely cleaved through his entire body. This is strength, absolute strength. Sword intention, combined with the hymn of the goddess of light, elevated Long HaoChen's momentum to its peak. Without good enough equipment, even an 8th rank powerhouse would find it hard to resist. What's even more terrifying is Long HaoChen's combat experience. He initially showed weakness to lure the enemy into pursuit. From his initiation of the attack to the demise of the demon lord, it only took a few breaths. The entire rhythm was completely under his control, never giving the demon lord a chance to unleash his full strength. Although Long HaoChen is young, his rich experiences far surpass those of his peers. How many times has he faced life and death? How many times has he turned the tide in moments of crisis? Each such experience is a source of strength and transformation for him. over the years, whether in mentality or combat experience, he can already compete with many seniors, not to mention the powerful abilities he learned from the holy guards of the Tower of Eternity. Struggling to flap his spiritual wings, he managed to collect the demon lord into the eternal melody before his demise. Only then did Long HaoChen turn around, looking towards the mountain beside him. In his memory, Holy Guard number 9 had flown past this mountain before. But why until now did he still not sense any spiritual fluctuations from the magic cast earlier? With the assistance of the souls of the other 3 Holy Guards, the magic cast by Holy Guard number 9 should be close to the peak of the 8th rank. While observing the mountain in front of him, Long HaoChen quickly descended to the ground, and once again consumed a large returning spiritual pill, swiftly replenishing his spiritual power. Simultaneously, he put on a black robe, crouching on the ground, concealing his figure in the darkness. From the beginning of the plan until now, everything has proceeded smoothly so far. Now it depends on what Holy Guard number 9 can achieve. Number 9, you need to be faster, otherwise you may not be able to scare the demons. Isn't that right? Demons aren't fools. After being on high alert for a moment, with no movement detected, and the intense light elemental fluctuations from the other side of the mountain vanished, it seems everything has returned to silence. However, this deathly silence intensifies the fear among the demons. After all, entering the demon suppression mountain range, they are equivalent to entering human territory, and they have no idea what they will encounter. They thought they were well hidden, but they never expected to be discovered so quickly. The feeling of being ambushed is truly painful. They would rather face the Alliance's army head-on than be mysteriously suppressed, without knowing their enemy. The Demon King, however, remains calm, serving as the commander of this legion, but having strength alone is far from sufficient. There are certainly numerous 9th-rank demons. Even after encountering several attacks, the Demon King shows no signs of anger, merely observing the surroundings coldly, but never leaving the vicinity of his army. He is the commander of the army, and also the brains of the army. It can be said that, once engaged in legion-level battles, whether he is present or not, the overall combat effectiveness of this legion would differ by at least 30%. At least the time it takes to brew a pot of tea has passed, apart from the sudden magic from earlier. There has been no further activity. A touch of icy coldness appeared on the face of the Demon King, and he has already guessed the situation he is facing. While he is not certain that the attack came from the human demon hunting squad, it's rare to encounter scouts with such formidable individual strength. Moreover, their numbers are certainly small, and they seem to be buying time, allowing the exorcism pass and the guardians of the demon suppression mountain range to prepare. Withdraw the defense, advance at full speed. The Demon King immediately gave the order after considering the situation. At this moment, the scouts he sent out after the attack have all returned, and the information they brought back is consistent, with no sign of the appearance of a large human force. Without the cover of familiars, there is no need to maintain a steady pace. The wisest choice is to quickly pass through the demon suppression mountain range and enter human territory. As long as his elite army can penetrate the heart of the Alliance like a nail, Exorcism Pass will have no choice but to collapse, and the demon suppression mountain range will no longer hinder the advance of the demon army. The purple-black light gradually receded, maintaining magical defense continuously consumes spiritual power, but the demons from hell, cooperating with the bear demons at their side, after ending the magic, directly lifted onto the shoulders by the bear demon, then continued to move forward, preparing to traverse the valley in front, continuing to advance into the demon suppression mountain range. At this moment, the Demon King suddenly felt that something was amiss. This is the instinct for survival. The stronger the individual, the more potent this instinct becomes. It's unrelated to race, only related to strength. Although he didn't sense any spiritual fluctuations, he immediately sensed this almost deadly anomaly. He shouted loudly, "Halt, full defense!" At the moment of his shout, a sudden change occurred. The demon elites heard the commander's consecutive contradictory orders, causing them confusion. Immediately, a tremendous pressure appeared in their hearts, as if a mountain was pressing down on them. In fact, a mountain was indeed leaning toward them without any warning. The mountain on the side of their valley, unexpectedly, without any warning, and without making a sound, slowly tilted in their direction. At first, the speed was slow, so they didn't feel it, until rocks started falling from the tilting mountain. That's when the enormous pressure emerged. Dawn has not yet arrived, the sky remains dark and gloomy. In the pitch-black night, an even darker mountain suddenly descended, and the speed of descent increased rapidly, from a slow start to an unstoppable force. The entire process lasted less than half a minute. If it were only a few strong individuals, they could surely escape at full speed. However, this is an army, not an anti-demon hunting squad. A massive army of 5,000, within the valley, was horizontally crushed by a mountain with a base diameter exceeding 2 kilometers, creating a horror surpassing some 9th-rank curses. The Demon King's face turned pale in the moment the mountain descended. He couldn't fathom how those humans achieved this, making a mountain topple down, becoming the most terrifying weapon. Regardless of his strength, he couldn't possibly contend with a mountain. Among the entire demon race, only the demon god emperor could possibly withstand such a mountain. Therefore, the only thing he could do was order a retreat. A retreat at any cost. The frontmost berserker ran at an astonishing speed, dashing wildly ahead, while the large demons behind swiftly flapped their wings and flew, frantically flying outward. But what about the bear demons and hell demons in the middle of the formation? Hell demons could increase their speed with magic, but the bear demons, with their strong defense, showed an obvious weakness in speed. Coupled with allies on both sides, how could they possibly retreat quickly? The mountain descending from the sky waits for no one. In less than half a minute, when the colossal mountain crashed down, the 9th-rank demon king, with powerful spiritual energy, felt his heart bleeding as dozens of bear demons were at least brought out. The tremendous roar nearly shook the entire demon suppression mountain range. The terrifying shockwaves caused all the elite demons, regardless of their race, to be thrown into the air, tumbling in the shockwaves. Although they were the absolute elite of the demon race, even the surrounding mountains cracked under such terrifying shockwaves. How could they endure without suffering? Only the large demons flying in the air fared a bit better. However, their advantage lasted only a short while. The collapse of a mountain, how terrifying is that? The intense rumble, the enormous weight, resulted in at least 7 nearby mountains experiencing landslides. Countless boulders with a diameter exceeding 3 meters fell from the sky, as if the mountain god were wrathful, madly smashing down onto the demon army. As the mountain collapsed, a golden light shot up into the sky, unfolding 4 wings behind, hovering in midair, beneath the falling mountain. A yellow stream of light flashed at his chest, and his presence vanished. Instantly. This was a true collapse of mountains and splitting of the earth. Long HaoChen witnessed such a formidable scene for the first time, although he already had a high estimation of Holy Guard number 9. He never expected Holy Guard number 9 to bring him such a huge surprise. He actually brought down a mountain. For the demon race, this cannot be explained by delaying tactics, it's simply a fatal blow. Dodging the giant rocks in the air, Long HaoChen's eyes revealed unprecedented excitement. No matter how steady his mind was, it was impossible not to be excited at a time like this. He actually witnessed at least 2/3 of the bear demons and hell demons were crushed under the mountain, and even those who escaped also endured the most direct and terrifying shockwaves after the mountain fell. The intense rumbling, even Long HaoChen, who was at a considerable distance, was thrown back by the shockwaves. What about those who endured it at such close proximity? This elite demon army has already been crippled. Haha! Long HaoChen just burst into laughter, but his voice suddenly stopped, a golden light flashed, and his figure disappeared into thin air, returning to the Tower of Eternity. Almost at the same time he disappeared, a dark golden light swept past, and the next moment, the Demon King revealed a face full of hatred and anger. A human? Is there only this one human? No, this is absolutely impossible. The blow in front of him is too massive for the Demon King. As the saying goes, those who fail to achieve victory die first, and the impact of the mountain collapsing on his army is indescribable. Such a huge mountain, even though half of it landed on the nearby mountain, the heavy mass still fell heavily into the valley. If it were him, perhaps he could use his powerful spiritual energy to create a cave and temporarily survive the falling mountain. But he's 9th rank, and his subordinates are not 9th rank. This legion has been under his command since its establishment, each elite carefully chosen and rigorously trained under the demon god emperor. Each strong individual was carefully selected by him and went through rigorous training, under the command of the demon god emperor. When he's with this legion, he's no longer the demon king of the demon race, but the captain of the 2nd legion under the demon god emperor. But even the absolute elite legion led by him suffered near-fatal damage without even encountering the main human forces. This is not just humiliation, but also an unparalleled failure. This responsibility is one he cannot bear. Who exactly is that enemy? How did he disappear into thin air? What kind of ability is this? His spiritual power fluctuation is not strong. Could it be that he used a forbidden magic scroll before? But he's of light attribute, able to make a mountain collapse. At least it should be a scroll of earth attribute magic. When Long HaoChen disappeared, he clearly felt a burst of warmth from eternal melody at his chest. This means that powerful souls are merging into the Tower of Eternity through eternal melody. Naturally, this also means the demon army, appearing out of thin air on the first floor of the Tower of Eternity. Long HaoChen plopped down on the ground, unable to contain his laughter. No matter how powerful the Demon King is, no matter how formidable the Elite Legion is, I bet you won't dare to attack humans after this. Scared you to death. Holy Guard number 9, how did you manage to do that? This is really too fierce, completely beyond my imagination. Long HaoChen instinctively touched the golden skull at his chest, and in his mind, the peculiar expression Holy Guard number 9 had when leaving appeared. It was a soul fluctuation with a hint of cruelty, ferocity, and excitement. Clearly, at that moment, Holy Guard number 9 had already decided what to do. He actually managed to make a mountain collapse, even though he used the power of the other 3 Holy Guards. It's still terrifying. It's definitely a magic terrifying enough to rival forbidden spells. Yes, forbidden spells, if the Alliance were to ask, probably only a scroll of Earth attribute forbidden magic could explain it. In fact, the magic Holy Guard number 9 used, although powerful, did not reach the strength of forbidden spells, or it's just close to the edge of forbidden spells. If it's a genuine Earth attribute forbidden spell, within the mountains, its terrifying power is definitely more than just making a mountain collapse. A real Earth attribute forbidden spell can even shatter a mountain in an instant, turning it into a meteor shower raining down on enemies. However, don't think that 9th rank experts can easily use forbidden spells. Even some powerful 9th rank experts with over 200,000 spiritual power may not have the ability to cast forbidden spells. Casting forbidden spells requires a strong affinity with one's own elemental attribute, along with possessing the incantation and the ability to complete it. Forbidden spells have a lot of uncertainties. Not all forbidden spells are necessarily powerful, only when the right forbidden spell is cast at the right time can it have the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. After all, the demon race is an outsider, originally not belonging to this world, so the demon race's forbidden spells were mostly created over the past 6,000 years, not to mention the small quantity, but the conditions for use are extremely stringent. Only the top 10 demon gods are definitely able to use forbidden spells. As for demon gods with lower rankings, it's hard to say. It depends on the specific circumstances and insight of each generation of demon gods. Although Holy Guard number 9 brought down a mountain, the magic he used consumed much less spiritual power than forbidden spells. Otherwise, how could he have accomplished it? But even so, this magic clearly reveals the gap between him and the other 3 Holy Guards. It wasn't until Holy Guard number 9 completed this magic that Long HaoChen fully understood why the other 3 Holy Guards respected him. The one Holy Guard number 9 just performed was a combination magic of his own attribute. The whole process, in fact, is not very complicated, but to complete it, not only requires vast spiritual power, but also needs a mountain as a support, and involves extremely precise calculations, manipulation, adjustments in spellcasting rhythm, finding the center of gravity, and various complex processes. If this mountain were any larger, Holy Guard number 9 wouldn't have been able to complete the magic. The fact is, luck ultimately favored the humans. With his powerful Earth attribute abilities, Holy Guard number 9 directly burrowed into the mountain, and then he began destroying the mountain from the inside. Of course, not destroying the entire mountain, but starting the destruction from the inside, about 100 meters above the ground, close to the demon's side. And at that time, Yating activated her magic, causing chaos among the demon ranks. The first magic Holy Guard number 9 used is called fossilization into mud, where he softened a large amount of rocks, and stirred up the intense stability of the heavy earth element inside, directly surging upward, creating an opening in the mountain's interior. He then continuously enlarged this opening, increasing the weight above the opening. Once the opening reached a certain size, he exerted all his strength to cast gravity spell. This completed the makeshift version of the Earth attribute forbidden spell, moving mountains and filling seas. Without mentioning the power of this magic, the creativity alone surpasses what modern mages can achieve. Of course, Holy Guard number 9 paid a great price for this, and he and his Holy Guard companions will sleep for a long time. However, Long HaoChen doesn't need them during this time. Entering the Temple Alliance, he won't easily summon the Holy Guard for help. After all, they are ultimately undead creatures, prone to unnecessary misunderstandings. What a pity! After a brief excitement, Long HaoChen couldn't help but punch his left palm with his right fist. Yeah, if the Temple Alliance could ambush an elite force nearby, and then unleash the power of moving mountains and filling seas, the demon elite army would probably be trapped in the demon-suppressing mountain range forever. His companions are still in the mountains, and Long HaoChen doesn't want to waste time. Sitting cross-legged, he rapidly recovers his spiritual power. With his current cultivation and the effects of the 3 spiritual consciousness and God's favored 1 constitution, the entire recovery process only takes a quarter of an hour. The Tower of Eternity, having absorbed so many powerful souls, is certainly generous to its new master, and the dense light elemental energy is at least 10 times stronger than the outside. With a slight gleam of golden light, Long HaoChen returns to the demon-suppressing mountain range. He condensed the radiance he could release with his spiritual power as much as possible, and as he appeared, his figure flashed, arriving in the needle-leaf forest below. This is also the place he had identified before leaving. The chaos in the distance has not yet ended, and from here, Long HaoChen can still hear the distant roars. The power of moving mountains and filling seas completely trapped the demon race here, as they are now engaged in saving the wounded. After all, following this terrifying attack like a natural disaster, the number of wounded is much greater than the dead. Obviously, a mere quarter of an hour is not enough for the demon race to resolve the issue. Long HaoChen did not attempt to approach again. He is well aware that, at this moment, the demon race is not only vulnerable, but also very sensitive. That 9th rank demon king probably wishes for his appearance. His perception heightened to the extreme, Long HaoChen silently sensed a movement in the distance, and a faint smile gradually appeared on his face. The damage to the demon race is even more severe than he anticipated. Although he can't see the specific situation over there, he can sense that a large number of demons are lying on the ground. What comforts Long HaoChen the most is that when the mountain collapsed, it mainly crushed the bear demons and hell demons. They are the strongest fighting force in this army, especially the 500 hell demons. If placed on the battlefield, they are equivalent to 500 demon mages and archmages. But now, not many of them will survive. Even those not crushed to death are probably shaken to death. Without further delay, Long HaoChen has done the best he can. Although the enemy is severely damaged, it's not something their demon hunting squad can contend with. The goal has been achieved. He naturally needs to go back and reunite with his companions. Demon King Saffron's heart is bleeding at this moment, as he personally participates in digging through the mountain, rescuing his subordinates crushed underneath. With his powerful 9th rank strength, every time he makes a move, dozens of square meters of mountain rocks turn to ashes, without causing any shockwaves. However, what appears in his eyes are just indistinct figures, bodies, already crushed into pulp. Having briefly checked the number of casualties earlier, he gathered the escaping mad demons from the other side, and surprisingly, the intact personnel of the Legion are just over a third. However, those who survived are less than 2/3. At least more than 1,000 powerful demon warriors perished under that mountain. Saffron cannot afford such a loss no matter what. Moreover, he has nowhere to vent his anger. Roar! Saffron roars to the sky, crazily striking the mountain in front of him, causing rocks to splash off the mountain, creating huge craters with each powerful blow. Don't let me find out who it is! Don't let me find out who it is! Demon King! Saffron roars to the sky once again, and in his mind, the suddenly disappeared golden figure appears, with 4 wings. He has 4 wings. Spread my command, evacuate with the wounded. Retreat. The surprise attack has already failed, and the losses are heavy. Many of the demon warriors under his command are also injured, so other than retreating, he has no other choice. The Temple Alliance on the other side probably already knows the situation here, and if they don't leave soon, they might not be able to leave at all. With deep reluctance and boundless hatred, Demon King and 2nd Legion Captain Saffron, with intense resentment, leads his subordinates to quickly retreat along the original path. Boss, how did you change your tricks? When Long HaoChen and his companions reunited on the mountaintop, they were immediately surrounded by their companions. Although they are far from the incident site, the terrifying roar from the collapsing mountain has likely spread throughout the entire demon-suppressing mountain range, and they naturally heard such a tremendous commotion. Long HaoChen recounted the whole process, and everyone listened in astonishment. Holy Guard number 9 is actually so powerful. Could he have unleashed a forbidden spell? Lin Sin's face is full of envy. With just one demon hindering such a powerful army, for him, also a mage, it is truly astonishing. Long HaoChen shook his head and said, I can be certain it's not a forbidden spell. It should be that he caught the opportunity and used some special spell-casting abilities. However, you should indeed learn from the Holy Guards, both in terms of experience and strength. They are beyond our comparison. There's still much for us to learn. Wang Yuanyuan said, Captain, since they've been crippled, do you think they will still continue forward? Long HaoChen shook his head and said, On my way back, I already observed them retreating. The target is exposed, and with such a blow, as long as the commander isn't foolish, they definitely won't continue leading the team forward. What's lacking in this demon-suppressing mountain range is everything else, except for a shortage of mountains. If they get crushed again, won't they go crazy? It's better this way. The next time the demon army thinks of infiltrating the demon-suppressing mountain range, they'll probably have a psychological shadow. Who knows when that mountain might suddenly collapse? Everyone laughed simultaneously. With such achievements, they can be completely proud. When the demon army truly withdrew from the demon-suppressing mountain range from afar, the sky was gradually getting bright. The dawn's light belongs to those who love the light, but for the demon race, it was a disastrous defeat.